The rain came down in sheets. A sea of black umbrellas crowded the cemetery, the sound of weeping rising and falling with the wind. I stood in the very last row, watching the woman in the black dress ahead of me, her shoulders shaking as she sobbed. That was my wife, Sarah Jenkins. She was crying for her dead first love. It was Mark Reynolds' funeral. Suddenly, I laughed. Ethan, what are you doing? Sarah turned to glare at me, tears still streaming down her face. Mark is dead, and you're laughing? Why shouldn't I laugh? I closed my umbrella, letting the rain soak my face. He's dead. I am freed. Everyone turned to look at me. Mark's parents, Sarah's best friend, and all those so-called mutual friends. They looked at me like I was a lunatic. Ethan, have you lost your mind? Sarah rushed over, trying to cover my mouth. Do you know what you're saying? I pushed her away easily. After 5 years of marriage, I knew exactly how light she was. I'm perfectly lucid. I looked at the casket, raising my voice. Mark Reynolds, you finally died. Sarah froze. She had never seen me like this. The gentle Ethan, the considerate Ethan, the Ethan who went along with everything she wanted. You all want to know why I'm laughing. I scanned the crowd. I'll tell you. Ethan, stop spouting nonsense. Sarah panicked, trying to pull me away. I shook off her hand. 5 years ago, when Mark Reynolds was chasing my wife, do you know what he did? The rain fell harder, but no one left. Everyone was waiting for me to continue. The day before our wedding, he sent Sarah a text. I pulled out my phone and brought up a screenshot. He said he had terminal cancer and only 3 months to live. Sarah's face went instant white. He said if Sarah didn't see him one last time, he'd kill himself right then. I continued, and my wife, being so soft-hearted, went to see him. Do you know what happened next? The crowd was dead silent. Only the rain spoke. They stayed in a hotel all night. My voice was calm. My bride, the day before our wedding, spent the night in a hotel with her ex-boyfriend. Sarah collapsed onto the wet grass. Ethan, it's not like that. She sobbed. Let me explain. Explain what? I walked up to her and crouched down. Explain why you lied and said you were your best friend's house. Explain why your eyes were swollen when you came back. Explain why you refused to sleep with me that night. She couldn't speak. And then there's the last 5 years. I stood up, addressing everyone present. Do you guys really think Mark had terminal cancer? People exchanged glances. Mark's parents looked pale. He was alive and kicking until yesterday. I laughed louder. For 5 years, he used that lie to get what from my wife? Guess. Sarah covered her face, crying harder. Money. I held up a finger. $700,000. Affection. I held up a second finger. 2 meetups a month. Her body. I held up a third finger. I don't need to elaborate on that one, do I? Mark's mother stood up, pointing a trembling finger at me. You're lying. My son wasn't that kind of person. Wasn't he? I pulled a USB drive from my pocket. Want to watch the security footage of your son and my wife at the hotel? The crowd gasped. Sarah's eyes went wide. You? When did you? Yesterday. I held the drive high. The day before his car accident, I secured this evidence. Ethan, don't do this. Sarah tried to grab a drive. I took a step back. Do you want to see it? I asked the crowd. Do you want to see how this so-called good man, this deceased saint you're weeping for, destroyed my marriage? No one answered, but no one left either. I intended to wait until after the funeral. I pocketed the drive, but seeing you all cry for him, I couldn't help myself. A man like that deserves to die. I opened my umbrella again. It's worth celebrating. I turned to leave. Sarah scrambled up and hugged my leg. Ethan, can we go home? Let's go home and talk. Home? I looked down at her. Are you sure we still have a home? She froze. I've already prepared the divorce papers, I said. They're in the car. No, I won't agree to a divorce. She held on tighter. Ethan, we have a child. We can't divorce. I laughed. This was the second time I laughed today. A child. My voice was soft, but everyone could hear it. Are you talking about that 5-year-old boy? Sarah's sobbing stopped abruptly. Do you want me to tell everyone whose child that really is? She let go of my leg. I walked toward the parking lot without looking back. Behind me, the wailing grew louder. Not just Sarah, but Mark's parents too. They had probably figured it out. The rain kept falling. I got in my car and lit a cigarette. My phone rang. It was my assistant, David. Mr. Cole, everything is arranged. Good. Mrs. Cole, proceed as planned. I took a drag of the cigarette. It's time she knew the truth. Yes, sir. I hung up, watching the chaotic funeral scene in the rearview mirror. 5 years. It was finally time to close the net. I will remember that night 5 years ago forever. The night before the wedding. I was setting up the bridal suite at the hotel when Sarah said she was going to her best friend's place for a final get-together. Tomorrow is our big day. She hugged me, kissing me on the cheek. Ethan, Thank you for marrying me. At that moment, I felt like the luckiest man in the world. We'd dated for 3 years. The proposal was perfect, and we were about to marry. Sarah was my college classmate, the campus queen. The line of guys chasing her used to stretch from the dorms to the cafeteria. But she chose me. Go ahead, come back early, I said, patting her head. You have to get up early for makeup. She left, and I continued decorating the room. Red roses, candles, champagne, imagining that tomorrow night we would spend our wedding night here. But she didn't come back all night. Her phone was off. I found her best friend, Emily, who said Sarah hadn't been there at all. Sarah didn't come by tonight, Emily said, confused. Shouldn't she be with you? I didn't sleep a wink that night. It wasn't until 6 in the morning that Sarah returned. Her eyes were red and swollen, her clothes wrinkled, her hair messy. Where were you? I asked. Emily's place. She didn't dare look me in the eye. We talked too late, so I crashed there. I knew she was lying, but I didn't expose her. Today was our wedding. I didn't want to fight. Go shower and get ready, I said. The makeup artist will be here soon. She nodded and went into the bathroom. I quietly checked her phone. I found that text message. Sender. Mark. Content. Sarah, the doctor says I only have 3 months. Please, one last meeting. I beg you. I can't die in peace otherwise. The timestamp was 7 p.m. last night. I scrolled up and found they had been in contact continuously. Starting 6 months ago, Mark Reynolds was Sarah's first love. They dated for 2 years in college before breaking up when he went abroad. I thought their paths would never cross again. I didn't expect him to return and reconnect with her. I screenshot the texts, saved them, and deleted the call log. Then I waited for her to come out of the shower as if nothing had happened. The wedding was a success. Over 300 guests, a grand occasion. When we exchanged rings on stage, Sarah cried. I thought she was overwhelmed with happiness. Now I realize she was probably crying for Mark. On our wedding night, she rejected me. Ethan, I'm too tired today. She lay with her back to me. Tomorrow, okay? I didn't force her, but it left a bitter taste in my mouth. In the days that followed, I began a secret investigation. I discovered Sarah met Mark twice a month, sometimes at a coffee shop, sometimes at the movies, sometimes at a hotel. I hired a private investigator to tail her. I got plenty of photos and videos. The two of them hugging, kissing, entering hotel rooms. I played the fool, pretending I knew nothing. I continued to be a good husband, buying her gifts, going to movies, taking her on trips. Every time she came back from cheating, she was exceptionally tender with me. Guilt, probably, but that guilt never lasted long. She'd soon go find Mark again. A year later, she got pregnant. I was happy, thinking it was our child. Sarah, however, acted strangely. Sometimes happy, sometimes anxious. Ethan, what if the baby doesn't look like you? She asked me suddenly one day. It doesn't matter if he doesn't look like me. I laughed. Maybe he'll look like you. What if he doesn't look like either of us? That sentence sparked my suspicion. I secretly did a paternity test. The results showed the child wasn't mine. In that moment, I felt the sky collapse. But I still said nothing. After the child was born, we named him Leo. I loved him and cared for him like a biological father. Sarah thought I knew nothing. She continued her relationship with Mark. She even gave most of the allowance I gave her to him. She said it was to help treat his illness. I finally understood Mark's game. He didn't have terminal cancer. It was a scam. A scam to hold Sarah's emotions hostage. And my wife was being played right into the palm of his hand. I began to formulate a revenge plan. Since they loved each other so much, I would help them along. Help them all the way to the end. I spent 3 years secretly investigating everything about Mark Reynolds. His company, his friends, his family, his weaknesses. Then I started to make my moves. First, I invested in his company, becoming his partner. He was smart, but too green in business. I took a year to drive his company into massive debt. Then, at the critical moment, I pulled my capital. His company went bankrupt. To pay the debts, he started asking Sarah for money. From the initial $10,000 up to $100,000. To help him, Sarah even secretly sold the jewelry I gave her. But she didn't know I had trackers in all those pieces. I knew her every move. Yesterday, I finally closed the net. Mark asked Sarah for money again, this time $700,000. He claimed he needed surgery or he would really die. Sarah panicked. She didn't have that kind of liquid cash. So she thought of a way. Stealing money from my company. She thought she was being secretive. In reality, I had been waiting for this day. The moment she made the transfer, my trap snapped shut. After Mark got the money, he drove to the bank to deposit it. He got into a car accident on the way. He died. Of course, it wasn't an accident. I hired someone. Now, the game was just beginning. 3 days after Mark died, I returned home. Sarah was sitting in the living room, eyes swollen, obviously having cried for a long time. Leo was asleep in her arms. The 5-year-old slept peacefully. Ethan, let's talk. She looked up at me, her voice hoarse. Talk about what? I sat on the sofa, keeping my distance. About Mark. She took a deep breath. Some of what you said was true, but not all of it. Oh, I leaned back against the sofa. Then tell me, what part was false? He and I, we did meet. Her voice was soft, but not as frequently as you said. Twice a month isn't frequent. She froze. You, how do you know? I know everything. I looked at her. Sarah, it's been 5 years. Did you think I was blind? She lowered her head, afraid to meet my gaze. I know your first meeting was at the Starbucks on 4th Street. I began counting it off. March 15th, 2019, 2:00 p.m. I know your second meeting was at the AMC Theater. You watched Avengers, Endgame, and you cried. I also know where you went to a hotel for the first time. I stood up and walked to the window. The Hilton, 8th floor, room 808. Sarah was trembling. Ethan, you had people stalking me? Not stalking. I turned to look at her. Protecting. I was afraid my wife might run into trouble. Then why didn't you just ask me? She hugged Leo tighter. If you had asked me earlier, things wouldn't have become like this. Ask you? I laughed. Ask you what? Ask why you were cheating? Ask why you were lying to me? Ask why you were spending my money to support another man. She was speechless. Or ask you why you gave birth to a child that isn't mine. That sentence was like a bomb, draining the blood from her face. You, what are you saying? She held Leo tightly. Leo is your son. DNA doesn't lie. I pulled a report from my pocket and tossed it onto the coffee table. Read it yourself. Sarah opened the report with shaking hands. It clearly stated, test results indicate no biological relationship between Ethan Cole and Leo Jenkins. She collapsed back onto the sofa. Impossible. This is impossible. She muttered. Leo is clearly yours. Sarah, you know the truth better than anyone. I walked over and looked at the child in her arms. This kid hasn't looked like me since the day he was born. Did you think I really couldn't tell? Leo looked exactly like Mark Reynolds' eyes, nose, mouth. Raising him for 5 years, looking at that face every day. Only I knew what that felt like. But I loved him. I gently stroked the child's hair. He is innocent. Ethan. Sarah started crying again. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Is sorry useful? I sat back down. Sarah, do you know how I've spent these last 5 years? She shook her head. Every morning I woke up, saw your face, and imagined you with another man. My voice was calm, but my heart was bleeding. Every night I held you while sleeping. I felt your longing for another man. Every time I gave you money, I thought about how you'd hand it over to Mark. I looked at her. Every day I played with Leo, I thought about how I was raising someone else's child. Do you know that feeling? It's like eating filth every day, but having to pretend it tastes sweet. Sarah cried harder. I didn't know. I really didn't know you knew. She said brokenly, If I knew you knew, I wouldn't have. You wouldn't have what? I interrupted her. Wouldn't have kept lying to me? Wouldn't have kept meeting him? Wouldn't have kept spending my money? She couldn't answer, because we both knew she would have. Ethan, I really thought Mark was dying back then. She finally spoke, her voice tiny. He said the doctor gave him 3 months. I couldn't just watch him die. 3 months? I sneered. Sarah, he lied to you for 5 years. This terminal illness lasted 5 years. Didn't you find that strange? She was stunned. Or is it that you didn't want to expose the lie? I stood up. Because that gave you a reason to keep being with him? No. She shook her head frantically. I really thought he would die. And now? I asked her. He's really dead. Are you satisfied? Sarah hugged the child, weeping like a child herself. I never wanted him to die. I just what? Just couldn't let him go. She finally told the truth. Ethan, I know I wronged you, but I really couldn't let him go. That sentence killed my heart. Killed it completely. Fine. I walked toward the door. Since you can't let him go, let's divorce. No. She chased after me, holding the child. Ethan, let's not divorce. I won't contact him anymore. He's dead. I'll never. Too late. I didn't look back. Sarah, the game is over. I walked out of the house and drove away. In the rearview mirror, I saw her standing at the door holding the child, crying her heart out. But my heart was dead. It had died the night before the wedding 5 years ago. Now, I only wanted revenge. Total revenge. To let her know what pain is. What despair is. Just like I had felt for 5 years. Continued narrative transition. I didn't go back to the office. Instead, I drove straight to a villa on the outskirts of the city. I bought this place 3 years ago. Sarah didn't know about it. Pushing the door open, my assistant David was already waiting for me. Mr. Cole, All the files are ready. He handed me a folder. I opened it. Inside was a detailed dossier of Mark Reynolds over the last 5 years. His bank statements, call logs, and even videos of every meeting with Sarah. Good work. I closed the folder. What's the situation with Sarah? She should have discovered the anomaly with the company account by now, David said. Per your instructions, the finance department will notify her this afternoon. I nodded. Sarah was the CFO of my company. To raise money from Mark, she embezzled $700,000 of company funds. That was embezzlement, enough to send her to prison for a few years. Also, regarding Mark's parents, David continued reporting. Let them know the truth. I interrupted him. Tell them everything about Mark and Sarah's relationship and about the child. David nodded and left. I sat alone in the villa, lighting a cigarette. I thought of the first time I met Sarah. It was 6 years ago at a club event on campus. She was wearing a white dress, smiling sweetly, like an angel. I was captivated instantly. I spent 6 months chasing her before she agreed to be my girlfriend. We dated for 3 years, and I thought we would be together forever. I never imagined another person was living in her heart the whole time. My phone rang. It was Sarah. I didn't answer. She called again. I still didn't answer. After a dozen calls, I finally picked up. Ethan, the company money. I can explain. Her voice was panicked. Explain what? My voice was cold. Explain why you embezzled public funds. I just borrowed it. I'll pay it back. She cried. Borrow? I sneered. Sarah, embezzling $700,000 is a felony. Ethan, help me. I really will pay it back. She begged. Why should I help you? I asked her. Help you keep lying to me? Help you keep betraying me? She had no words. The police will come for you soon, I said. Think hard about how you'll explain it. I hung up and blacklisted her number. For the next few days, I did nothing but wait for news at the villa. David kept me updated. Sarah was sued by the company. The case had been handed over to the district attorney. After knowing the truth, Mark's parents wanted to fight Sarah for custody of Leo. Sarah's parents rushed in from their hometown, and upon learning the full situation, were so angry they were hospitalized. Her world was collapsing bit by bit. On the 5th day, David brought me unexpected news. Mr. Cole, Mrs. Cole wants to see you. Where? The detention center. I went. Through the glass, I saw a haggard Sarah. In just a few days, she looked 10 years older. Ethan, thank you for coming to see me. She picked up the phone, her voice weak. I came to hear your explanation. I picked up the receiver too. Explain what you've been doing for 5 years. She lowered her head, silent for a long time. I know I wronged you. She finally spoke. But things aren't how you think. Then how are they? Mark and I, we did have feelings. She looked up at me, eyes full of tears. But the person I love is you. I didn't respond. When Mark first came back, he did contact me, she continued. He said he regretted it, regretted going abroad, regretted losing me. And then I rejected him. Her voice was firm. I told him I was married and had my own family. But he said he was sick, with only months to live. He said he just wanted to see me one last time, to say a few words. I got soft-hearted, she admitted. I went to see him. One meeting turned into 5 years. I scoffed. No. She shook her head anxiously. After the first meeting, I explicitly told him we couldn't get back together. But his illness got worse, constantly deteriorating. Her voice got smaller. He said if I didn't keep him company, he would kill himself. And you believed him? He showed me the diagnosis and the doctor's notes, she said. Ethan, when I saw those reports, I was really scared. I knew she was telling the truth. Because I had seen those reports too, they were very realistic forgeries. Mark spent a lot of money faking them. What about the money? I asked. $700,000. Why did you give him so much? He said he needed to go to the U.S. for treatment. She started crying. He said it was his last hope. If he couldn't raise the money, he could only wait to die. I couldn't bear to watch him die. She looked at me. Ethan, I know it was unfair to you, but I really couldn't stand by and do nothing. I understood. Sarah had indeed been scammed. But that couldn't be her excuse for betraying me. What about Leo? I asked the most critical question. Where did he come from? Sarah's face went instantly white. She opened her mouth, but couldn't speak. Say it. I looked at her. Tell me how that child was conceived. She closed her eyes, tears streaming down. That was an accident. She finally spoke, her voice buzzing like a mosquito. Mark said he was dying and wanted to leave a child in the world. I refused him, but she paused for a long time. But he forced me. I froze. What? He forced me. She repeated. That night, I went to check on him. He put something in my drink. When I woke up, it was too late. She cried harder. Ethan, I really didn't expect to get pregnant. When I found out I was pregnant, it was already 3 months along. She looked at me. I wanted to abort it, but thinking it might be yours. I understood. She wasn't sure whose child it was at the time, so she took a gamble. And she lost. Why didn't you tell me? I asked. I was afraid you wouldn't want me anymore. She sobbed. Ethan, I was really afraid of losing you. That sentence softened my heart for a second, but it hardened again quickly. So you chose to keep lying to me. I said, letting me think it was my child. She nodded. Letting me be a sucker for 5 years. She nodded again. Sarah, do you think I can forgive you? I stood up to leave. Ethan, wait. She slapped the glass. I know I was wrong, but Leo is innocent. He needs a father. I stopped. His father is dead. I said without looking back. Go ask Mark's parents. I walked out of the detention center, my mood complicated. Sarah was indeed deceived, but that changed nothing. Betrayal is betrayal. Deception is deception. No reason can alter that fact. The revenge I wanted was just beginning. Continued narrative transition. After leaving the detention center, I didn't go back to the villa, but went to the cemetery. There were fresh flowers in front of Mark's grave, likely sent by his parents. I stood before the tombstone and lit a cigarette. Mark, you didn't expect this day, did you? I spoke to the stone. 5 years of lies, finally paying the price. The wind was strong, rustling the leaves. You know, the night you died, I was right behind you. I took a drag. Watching your car rush toward the guardrail, I didn't regret it one bit. 5 years, you destroyed my marriage, destroyed my family, and made me raise your child. My voice grew colder. This debt is settled. My phone rang. It was David. Mr. Cole, Mark's parents want to see you. Where? They're home. They say they have something important to tell you. I put out the cigarette and drove to Mark's parents' house. It was an apartment in an old neighborhood, simply furnished. Mark's father, Robert Reynolds, opened the door. He was a man in his 60s with graying hair. Mr. Cole, please come in. His attitude was respectful. In the living room, Mark's mother, Linda, sat on the sofa, eyes red from crying. What do you two want with me? I sat opposite them. Robert and Linda exchanged a glance, then Robert spoke. Mr. Cole, regarding my son and your wife, we want to apologize. Apologize? I raised an eyebrow. What? We know the truth. Linda cried. We know what Mark did all these years. She pulled a cardboard box from under the coffee table and handed it to me. This is what Mark left behind. We found these while cleaning up. I opened the box. Inside were photos, videotapes, and several diaries. I flipped through them, my face darkening. These were materials Mark had secretly recorded of Sarah. Photos from every angle. At home, at work, even in the shower. The tapes were worse, recording every meeting between her and Mark. The diary detailed Mark's plan. Find the best forger, fake the most realistic diagnosis. Sarah is too kind. She'll definitely soften. Success the first time, she really came to see me. I got another $10,000 a day. Sarah said it was her allowance. Told me to treat my illness well. Sarah is pregnant. The kid is mine, but she thinks it might be Ethan's. That's better. I can use this. Ethan is such a fool, raising someone else's kid as his own for 5 years. Reading this, my hands shook. Not from anger, but from disgust. This scumbag had no humanity at all. Mr. Cole, we really didn't know Mark did these things. Robert's voice trembled. If we knew, we absolutely wouldn't have let him. We are willing to compensate. Linda said, we'll sell the house and give you all the money. I looked at the two elderly people, feeling conflicted. They were truly innocent. You don't need to sell the house. I pushed the box back. But I have conditions. Please speak. Now, I won't take care of him anymore. I looked at them. He is your grandson. You raise him. The two elders looked at each other. But we're old. Linda said, troubled. Then send him to foster care. I stood up. Just don't count on me. Wait, Mr. Cole. Robert stopped me. We can raise Leo, but we hope you can drop the lawsuit against Sarah. Why? She is Leo's mother after all. Linda said, if she goes to prison, Leo will suffer. I laughed coldly. Your son scammed her for 5 years, caused her to embezzle funds, and now you want me to let her go. Mr. Cole, we know it's asking a lot. Robert knelt down. But please, for Leo's sake, give her a chance. Linda knelt too. 2 60-year-olds kneeling before me. My heart softened. Get up. I sighed. I can drop the charges, but there are conditions. The couple quickly stood up. What conditions? First, Leo changes his last name to Reynolds. From now on, he has nothing to do with me. They nodded. Second, Sarah must divorce me and leave with nothing. They nodded again. Third, I'm taking these materials as evidence. Okay. I picked up the box and prepared to leave. Mr. Cole, Robert called me again. One more thing. What? Mark's death. Was it really an accident? I stopped and looked back at him. What do you think? Robert's face changed. You mean? I didn't say anything. I opened the door. But if I were you, I'd keep my mouth shut tight. I left their home, feeling much lighter. At least the truth was out. Sarah was indeed a victim, but she was also an accomplice. Mark was the mastermind, but he had paid the price. Now, it was time to handle the aftermath. I took out my phone and called my lawyer. Prepare the divorce agreement, according to the terms I mentioned. Yes, Mr. Cole. Also, drop the charges against Sarah Jenkins. Understood. Finally, do one thing for me. I looked at the sunset in the distance. I want to donate $2 million to the Children's Aid Society. Under what name? I said, just say it's for children who have lost their parents. Leo wasn't my child, but I had truly loved him. This was the last thing I could do for him. Early the next morning, I went to the company. It was the first time I stepped into the office in a week. My assistant David was waiting at the door. Mr. Cole, Mrs. Cole has been released. He reported. The DA dropped the charges. I nodded and walked into my office. Also, Mrs. Cole's parents want to see you. No. I refused directly. I have no relationship with the Jenkins family anymore. Understood. David handed me a file. This is today's schedule. I looked at it. 3 meetings in the morning, 2 important clients in the afternoon. Life goes on. The company must run. Personal matters cannot affect work. Just as I was about to start my day, my secretary knocked. Mr. Cole, a lady wants to see you. She says it's urgent. Who? She says her name is Emily Clark, Mrs. Cole's college classmate. I thought about it. I remembered her. Emily was Sarah's best friend and attended our wedding. Let her in. Emily walked into the office. She was a woman around 30, beautiful and elegant. Mr. Cole, sorry to disturb you. She sat opposite me. I came about Sarah. Did she send you? No, I came on my own. Emily shook her head. Sarah doesn't know I'm here. Then what do you want to say? I leaned back in my chair. Plead for her. Not plead. Emily's gaze was firm. I came to tell you the truth. Truth. I was interested. What truth? The truth about Sarah and Mark. She took a deep breath. She was indeed deceived, but not entirely. I raised an eyebrow, signaling her to continue. When Mark first returned, he did contact Sarah. Emily said, but Sarah's reaction was different from what she told you. How so? She was happy. Emily looked straight into my eyes. Mr. Cole, Sarah never forgot Mark. That sentence was like a knife straight into my heart. When she first started dating you, she often mentioned Mark to me. Emily continued. She said if only he hadn't gone abroad, said she was actually waiting for him to return. Then why did she marry me? My voice was tight. Because she thought Mark wouldn't come back. Emily sighed. She needed a man to give her security, and you were the best choice. So I was a replacement from the start. You could say that. Emily nodded. But later, she really fell in love with you. In love with me? I scoffed. She loves me, so she betrays me? Mr. Cole, a woman's heart is complex. Emily said, Sarah can love 2 men at the same time, but in different ways. She loves you because you gave her a stable life, a warm home. She loved Mark because of the beauty of first love, the memories of youth. I understood. In Sarah's heart, I was reality, and Mark was the dream. What about the child? I asked. It was indeed an accident. Emily said, but Sarah genuinely didn't know whose child it was at the time. You mean, she was with both of us at the same time? Yes. Emily nodded. During that time, she often came to me crying, saying she didn't know what to do. My heart went completely cold. Not just betrayal, but double betrayal. Why did she do this? I asked. Because she couldn't let go. Emily said, she couldn't let go of the security you gave her, nor could she let go of her feelings for Mark. So she chose to have both. Yes, she was greedy. Emily admitted. But Mr. Cole, she really loves you. Loves me. I stood up and walked to the window. This is how she loves me. She regrets it very much now. Emily stood up too. After Mark died, she realized what she had lost. Mr. Cole, can you give her a chance? I turned to look at her. What chance? A chance to start over. Emily said, Sarah is willing to do anything to make amends. Anything? Yes, anything. I was silent for a long time. Finally, I returned to my seat. Tell Sarah I'll give her a chance. I said, but not to start over. To end it properly. What do you mean? Tomorrow afternoon at 3, meet at the law firm. I looked at Emily. Signed the divorce papers. If she cooperates, I can give her some money. I continued. Enough for her and the child to live. If she refuses, my voice turned cold. Then I'll see her in court. Emily's face changed. Mr. Cole, can you truly not forgive her? Betrayal is betrayal. I looked out the window. No reason can change that fact. Besides, I don't love her anymore. I turned to Emily. From a moment I knew the truth. I stopped loving her. Emily wanted to say something, but said nothing in the end. She picked up her bag to leave. At the door, she looked back at me. Mr. Cole, you're truly heartless. Heartless? I laughed. Compared to her, I have a long way to go. After Emily left, I sat alone in the office. Watching the city outside, my mood was complex. 5 years of marriage ended just like that. But I didn't regret it. Some things, once they happen, cannot be undone. Betrayal is betrayal. Deception is deception. No excuse can change that reality. The next afternoon, I arrived at the law firm on time. Sarah was already waiting in the conference room. She wore a black suit with light makeup, but it couldn't hide her exhaustion. Ethan, seeing me, she tried to stand up. Seat. You said opposites here. Let's resolve this quickly. Lawyer Mitchell placed the divorce agreement on the table. Both parties can review the terms first. Sarah picked up the agreement, her face paling as she read. Ethan, this is too much. You want me to leave with nothing? Too much. I laughed coldly. Compared to what you did, this is nothing. But we bought the house together, the car too. Her voice trembled. That was all my money. I interrupted her. Did you forget? In the 5 years we were married, did you have a job? She couldn't speak. It was true. She quit her job after marriage, and I covered all expenses. Ethan, I can leave with nothing, but Leo. She looked at me, eyes full of tears. You can't abandon Leo. Leo isn't my child. My voice was freezing. His father is dead. His grandparents will take care of him. But he's called you dad for 5 years. Sarah cried. He thinks of you as his biological father. That stung. Leo was very attached to me, needing a hug every day when I came home, needing a bedtime story. But so what? That's not my fault. I looked at her. That is the result of your deception. The one who has to bear the consequences now is you, not me. Continued into 7. Narrative transition correction. Note, the narrative flows directly here. Sarah slumped in her chair, crying her heart out. Ethan, I know I wronged you, but Leo is innocent. He is innocent. I admit it, but so am I. Why should I be responsible for someone else's child for my whole life? I asked her, can you answer that? She couldn't answer. If you think this agreement is unfair, we can go to court. Mr. Mitchell, if we go to court, what would she get? Lawyer Mitchell pushed up his glasses. According to the law, if one party is proven to be at fault, the court tends to favor the innocent party. Ms. Jenkins' behavior constitutes adultery and embezzlement, putting her at a disadvantage in asset division. And regarding child support, if it is proven the child is not Mr. Cole's, the court will not mandate Mr. Cole to pay support. Hearing this, Sarah's face grew even paler. So, this agreement is already very generous. At least I'm willing to give you a sum of money. Sarah looked at the number on the agreement. $50,000. What can this money do? She cried. It's not even enough for Leo's tuition. That's your problem. I stood up. You can work, remarry, think of any way. But don't count on me. I picked up my bag to leave. Wait, Sarah called me. I'll sign. I stopped. What? I said I'll sign. She wiped her tears and picked up the pen. But I have a condition. What condition? Let me see Leo one last time. Let me explain to him why Daddy doesn't want us anymore. The request made me hesitate. Leo was still small. He didn't understand the complexity of the adult world. In his heart, I was his dad. Fine. I finally nodded, but only this once. Thank you. Sarah signed her name. The agreement was effective. We were officially divorced. Walking out of the law firm, I let out a breath. 5 years of marriage, finally completely over. But I didn't feel relief, just emptiness. 4 or 5 years, painful as they were, I had gotten used to life with her. Now suddenly single, I didn't know what to do. My phone rang. It was David. Mr. Cole, I need to report something. What is it? Regarding Mark Reynolds' car accident. The police came to ask questions. My heart tightened. What did they ask? They asked where you were that night, and if you had contact with Mark. How did you answer? As you instructed, I said you were working overtime at the office, and security footage proves it. I nodded. Of course there was footage. I arranged it specifically. Anything else? Nothing for now, David said. But Mr. Cole, are you really not worried? Worried about what? If they find something, they won't. I interrupted him. It was done cleanly. It was indeed clean. The person I hired had already left the city. All evidence was destroyed. Mark's death would forever be an accident. By the way, one more thing. David continued. Ms. Jenkins moved. Where to? A very remote apartment complex, the cheap rent kind. I paused. $50,000 wasn't much. You couldn't buy a house in this city with it. Sarah could only rent, and she had to be frugal. But that was none of my business. Her current situation was her own doing. Mr. Cole, do you want it? David asked tentatively. No. I refused directly. From now on, her affairs have nothing to do with me. Understood. I hung up and drove back to the villa. It was quiet, no one to disturb me. I poured a glass of wine and sat on the balcony, looking at the city lights in the distance, thinking about the life ahead. 30 years old, successful career, but an emotional blank slate. Time to start over. 2 months later, my life was back on track. The company's business was booming, and I started socializing again. Friends knew I was divorced and kept introducing me to girlfriends. But I had no interest. After Sarah's betrayal, I became cautious about relationships. That evening, at a business gala, I met an unexpected person, Emily. She wore a red evening gown, looking very elegant. Ethan, didn't expect to see you here. She walked over with champagne. Emily, hello. I nodded politely. You're in this circle too? I work at an investment firm, she said, here representing the company. We found a quiet corner to sit. How is Sarah? I couldn't help but ask. Emily's expression was complicated. Not too good. She sighed. Jobs are hard to find. Rent is high. Life is tough. And Leo? He's in a regular public school. Emily said. Sarah works 12 hours a day. Rarely has time for him. Hearing this, I felt uncomfortable. Though divorced, 5 years of feelings aren't forgotten instantly. Ethan, do you really not care about them at all? Why should I? I retorted. Their lives have nothing to do with me. But Leo still calls you dad. Emily said. He often asks his mom why dad doesn't come home. That sentence was like a thorn in my heart. I downed my drink in one gulp. That's her problem, I said. She should tell the kid the truth. How can a 5-year-old understand that? Emily looked at me. Ethan, are you really this cruel? Cruel, I sneered. Compared to her, I'm nowhere close. Emily wanted to speak, but I stopped her. Emily, let's change the subject. I looked at her. How's work? For the rest of the time, we talked business. Emily was smart and had insights into investing. After the party, I drove her home. In the car, she suddenly said, Ethan, I have a presumptuous request. What? Next week is Leo's birthday. She said, Sarah wants to invite you to the party. I slammed on the brakes, stopping by the roadside. Are you joking? I looked at her. Why would I go? Because in Leo's heart, you are still his father. Emily said, this might be the last time you see each other. Last time. Sarah plans to take Leo and leave the city. Emily explained, go to Houston to find work, start over. I was silent. She doesn't want Leo living in the shadow. Emily continued, and doesn't want you to be haunted by the past. So this really is the last meeting. My mood was complicated. Logic told me to refuse, but emotion made me hesitant. Leo wasn't my child, but we lived together for 5 years. Watching him grow from an infant to this sensible little boy. Where? I finally asked. At their current place. Emily said, a very simple party, just us. I'll think about it. Okay. Before getting out, Emily looked back. Ethan, some things once missed really offer no second chance. She left, and I sat alone in the car, thinking of the first time Leo called me dad, his excitement learning to walk, how he needed my stories to sleep. Those memories were real. Regardless of biology, the feelings were real. I took out my phone, scrolling to Sarah's number. Hesitated for a long time, but didn't dial. The next day, I had David investigate Sarah's situation. The results were worse than I imagined. She was an accountant at a small company, making $4,000 a month. After rent and living expenses, almost nothing was left. Leo's tuition was on an installment plan, and she had debt. Though the embezzlement charges were dropped, the company demanded restitution. $700,000. At her current income, it would take 20 years. Seeing these files, I felt torn. 5 years as husband and wife. Seeing her struggle so much, could I really be indifferent? But thinking of her betrayal, I hardened my heart. This was her karma. On the day of Leo's birthday, I decided to go, not for Sarah, but for the child who called me dad for 5 years. I bought an expensive toy and drove to their apartment. It was a rundown complex with no elevator. They lived on the 5th floor. Climbing up left me winded. When I knocked, I heard Leo's voice inside. Mommy, is Daddy back? The door opened, revealing Sarah. She was much thinner, pale, but her eyes held surprise. Ethan, you really came. I ignored her and walked inside. Seeing me, Leo ran over excitedly. Daddy, he threw himself into my arms. I missed you so much. In that moment, my heart melted. Leo's birthday party was simple. Besides me, Sarah, and Emily, there were few kids. The apartment was tiny, the living room only 100 square feet, but decorated warmly. Colorful streamers, party hats, and a small cake. Daddy, look at my cake. Leo pulled my hand, pointing to the table. It was a generic supermarket cake with a 5 candle. It's beautiful. I patted his head. Happy birthday, Leo. Thanks, Daddy. He jumped for joy. Are you moving back in with us? The question silenced the room. Sarah looked at me nervously. Emily stopped what she was doing. I crouched down to eye level with Leo. Leo, Daddy and Mommy have to live apart. I tried to use words he could understand. But Daddy still loves you. Why live apart? He blinked his big eyes. Is it because I wasn't good? No. I pick him up. Leo is very good. This isn't your fault. Then why? He still didn't understand. I looked at Sarah. Her eyes were red, but she said nothing. Because Daddy and Mommy can't be together anymore. I said, but Daddy will always love Leo. Then when will you come back? He hugged my neck tight. I'll miss you. That sentence almost made me cry. Daddy is very busy with work. Can't come back often. I struggled to control my emotions. But Daddy will miss you. Leo nodded, seemingly understanding, but not really. For the rest of the time, I played games with him, told him stories, just like before. He was happy, clinging to me, not letting me leave. After the other kids left, only the 4 adults and Leo remained. Leo, go play in your room for a bit. Sarah said, the grown-ups need to talk. Leo went reluctantly. The living room fell into silence. Ethan, thank you for coming. Sarah spoke first. Leo was very happy. Don't mention it. I said, this is the last time. I know. She nodded. We leave next week. Where to? Houston. She said, I have a friend there who can help me find work. What about Leo's school? Find a new one. Sarah's voice trembled. Start a new life. I looked at the dilapidated apartment, feeling conflicted. 5 years ago, we lived in a 3,000 square foot house. Now she lived here. Is the money enough? I asked. Enough, she said, but I knew she was lying. Moving to Houston, rent, school, all needed money. And she was penniless. Emily said you have to pay back the debt. Yeah. She lowered her head. $2,000 a month for 20 years. Why not file for bankruptcy? I don't want to run from responsibility. She said, I did wrong. I should bear the consequences. That gave me a new perspective on her. At least she had basic integrity. Ethan, can I ask you one thing? She looked at me. What? If one day Leo asks about you, can you not tell him he isn't your son? The request surprised me. Why? I want him to remember a father who loved him. Tears streamed down her face. Not that he was an abandoned child. I was silent for a long time. I'll consider it. Thank you. Emily, who had been silent, spoke up. Mr. Cole, one more thing you should know. What? Regarding Mark Reynolds' accident, the police closed the case. She said, confirmed as an accidental crash. I breathed a sigh of relief internally, but showed nothing. What does it have to do with me? Nothing. Emily said, I just thought you should know. It was getting late. I prepared to leave. Leo didn't want me to go, hugging my leg. Daddy, will you come tomorrow? He asked. Daddy is busy. I crouched down and hugged him one last time. Leo, listen to Mommy. Study hard. I will. He nodded. Daddy, I love you. I love you too. I finished the sentence and walked out quickly. In the stairwell, I heard Leo crying and Sarah comforting him. My heart ached, but I knew it was necessary. Better a short pain than a long one. Walking out of the complex, I sat in my car for a long time, thinking of everything. My emotions were a mix of flavors. Leo wasn't my child, but the 5 years of affection were real. Sarah betrayed me, but her suffering was real, too. Life is complex like that. There is no absolute right or wrong. I took out my phone and called David. Prepare $100,000 in cash. Mr. Cole, what for? Don't ask, just prep it. Okay. The next day, I had David deliver the money to Sarah. Attached was a note for Leo's education fund. Do not refuse. This was the last thing I could do for them. From now on, we were strangers. 3 months later, I received an unexpected call. It was Emily. Mr. Cole, there's something I think you should know. Her voice was urgent. What is it? I was in a meeting, impatient. Sarah had an accident. My heart tightened. What happened? She got hurt at the factory. She's in the hospital now. Is it serious? Arm fracture, concussion. Emily said. She needs to be hospitalized. I paused. Where is Leo? With her at the hospital. Her voice choked up. Mr. Cole, Leo keeps calling for Daddy. He misses you. My heart softened. Which hospital? Houston Methodist. I checked my watch. 3:00 p.m. Got it. Hanging up, I canceled all meetings and drove to the airport. On the plane, I kept wondering why I was going. I said I wouldn't care about them, so why worry? Maybe it was for Leo, the kid who called me Dad for 5 years. Arriving in Houston, it was 9:00 p.m. The hospital corridor was quiet. I found Sarah's room. Through the glass, I saw her lying in bed, head bandaged, right arm in a cast. Leo sat on a chair by the bed, asleep with his head on the mattress. I pushed the door open. Ethan, Sarah saw me, surprise in her eyes. Why are you here? Emily told me. I walked to the bed. Is it bad? I'm okay, just a fracture. She forced a smile. I'll be fine soon. Hearing voices, Leo woke up. Seeing me, he rubbed his eyes, then shouted happily, Daddy. He jumped off the chair and threw himself into my arms. Daddy, you finally came. He hugged me tight. I missed you so much. I missed you too. I held him, feeling warm. Mommy got hurt, I was scared. He said, but now Daddy is here, I'm not scared. That stung my nose. Leo is very brave. I patted his head. Taking care of Mommy is hard work. Not hard. He shook his head. Daddy, are you taking us home? Sarah and I looked at each other, not knowing how to answer. Leo, Daddy will take you to eat first. I said, Mommy needs rest. Okay. I took Leo to the cafeteria and bought his favorite food. Daddy, when are we going back? He asked while eating. Back where? Back to our old home. He said, I miss the big house and my toys. My heart ached. Leo, that house isn't ours anymore. I said, we can't go back. Why? He didn't understand. Because Daddy and Mommy separated. I tried to simplify, like Billy's parents. Billy was his classmate, parents divorced. Then who do I stay with? He asked. With Mommy. I said, Mommy will take care of you. What about Daddy? His eyes reddened. Does Daddy not want me? The question left me speechless. Daddy will always love Leo. I hugged him. But Daddy can't live with you guys. Why not? He started crying. I want Daddy and Mommy both. Watching him cry broke my heart. How can a 5-year-old understand adult complexity? In his heart, I was Dad, Sarah was Mom. We should be a family. Leo, don't cry. I wiped his tears. Daddy will come visit often. Really? Really? This promise, I wasn't even sure I could keep. Back in the room, Sarah was awake. Leo, come here. She called her son. Mommy needs to talk to Daddy. Leo sat obediently on the chair. Ethan, thank you for coming. Sarah looked at me. But you don't need to stay. I know. I mean it. Her eyes were firm. We are divorced. You have no obligation to us. I know I don't. I said. But Leo needs me. He will forget you eventually. Sarah said. Time will make him accept reality. Are you sure? I looked at her. A 5-year-old forgetting 5 years of affection. She was silent. Plus, you saw his state. I continued. If I leave now, what will he think? Sarah lowered her head, silent. Let me stay a few days. I said, until you're better. She wanted to refuse, but seeing Leo's expectant look, she nodded. For the next few days, I came to the hospital daily. With Leo during the day, caring for Sarah at night. Like before, like a family, but we knew it was temporary. Sarah's injuries healed, and Leo became cheerful again. On the 5th day, the doctor said she could be discharged. Ethan, thanks for everything. Sarah said while processing paperwork. But we have to return to reality. I know, but I have a suggestion. What? Move back. I looked at her. Back to Seattle. What? She was surprised. Houston is too strange for you. I said. And Leo has no friends here. But there are too many memories there. She said. Memories are memories. I said. Wherever you are, you have to face what must be faced. She considered for a long time, finally nodding. Okay, we'll go back. Waiting at the airport, Leo asked me, Daddy, when we go back, can we live together? I looked at Sarah. She shook her head. No. I crouched down, looking at him seriously. But Daddy will visit you often. How often? Every weekend. I promised. If you miss Daddy, you can call anytime. Really? Really? This time I meant it. Back in our city, I rented a decent apartment for Sarah and Leo. Every weekend, I visited Leo. Played with him, told stories, took him to amusement parks. Like divorced parents, taking turns. Although he wasn't my biological son, 5 years of feelings couldn't be severed instantly. I love the kid. That was a fact. As for Sarah, our relationship was subtle. Not husband and wife, not strangers. More like partners cooperating for the child. Sometimes watching her care for Leo, I remembered the good times. But the memories of betrayal stopped me from trusting her again. Maybe this was enough. Not every story has a perfect ending. Some wounds need time to heal. Some feelings need redefinition. And we were all learning to find our own places in this new relationship. Story complete.